Now, with us this morning to review the papers is anthropologist Marianne Hotter and author and broadcaster Emma Wolfe to go through all of the papers for us. And there they are in the screen. Good morning to both of you. It's good to see you back. Let's just pick up then, Emma, because in the last hour we started talking about this story, which is on the front page of the Times newspaper, this MI6 spy who was sent to a jihadist camp who then ended up killing his own child. Let's just elaborate more on this story.
Yeah, it's a really alarming investigation, Vanessa. Front page of the Sunday Times, as you say. This is about a British spy who, in his 20s, was sent by MI6 to a jihadist terrorist training camp in Waziristan. There was extreme concern and warnings and awareness of his vulnerability, and he later went on to kill his own child. Now, he was vetted for overseas work and cleared as an intelligence agent, despite being scored as the most emotionally unstable that could be scored on their sort of scoring systems. He was he had reported himself as being sexually abused as a child. He had had a mental breakdown as a young adult. And during previous work for MI5, his wife had been sent to a refuge for domestic abuse victims. These come from leaked documents, and the details of what he went through in Waziristan is really quite appalling. He was washing and burying disfigured Taliban fighters. He was witnessing beheadings, all sorts of things. This man later went on to kill his own child. He was charged with murder. And the really astonishing thing about this, Vanessa, is that the court now says it has lost all the documents relating to this case, and they can't explain why. The government have a 74-page document on this, on the murder of his child, which they are refusing to publish.
My goodness, I think this is not going to go away anytime soon. There'll be many more questions following up, and there'll be pressure on the government and indeed the courts to reveal more details on this. Marianne, this afternoon, of course, at 3 o'clock, we're going to be hearing that sound which the government is testing out. But it's very interesting, actually, isn't it? Because the front of the Sunday Telegraph there has a message for anyone who uses hearing aids.
So this is a reminder, a warning perhaps for people who use Bluetooth-enabled hearing aids where phone messages would go direct to your hearing aid, so effectively straight into your ears as if you're wearing earbuds. At 3 p.m, this alarm will go off. It'll sound about as loud as the loudest ring on your mobile phone. So if you're not expecting it and you are using hearing aids, it could be very unpleasant. The Royal Society for the Prevention of Accidents have also put out warnings saying, please don't be halfway up a ladder. Don't be threatened or alarmed when you're driving. Maybe be careful if you're using sharp or dangerous tools at 3 p.m, and it might cause people to jump, to have a shock, to scramble to find their phone because they're not familiar with the sound that it's making. I mean, fundamentally, it has to be quite alarming in order for it to work as a sound that people would register, recognise and do something about when it's activated for real. This is only a 10-second test, of course. In principle, these alarms should be used for, or are planning to be used for extreme weather events, wildfires, floods, but not things like terrorist attacks. And there is the question, how likely in the UK is there going to be an imminent threat posed by weather, for example, or flooding, that can't be shared with a populace in other ways that aren't quite so immediate? We don't really have the same kind of weather that you might have in Australia with wildfires or huge life-threatening storms in the way that in America they can travel very rapidly over large land masses. We don't really have that. We do have flooding, of course, but maybe that's kind of where this would be used. But maybe text messages could do that job.
And Emma, let's just talk about how things are changing then in the workplace. I'm looking at this the story here in the Times. I mean, look, even I'm confused. The mind boggles. You know, would you send a WhatsApp to a superior? Would you follow an intern on TikTok? Too many questions. What are we supposed to do according to this article?
Well, the old rules no longer apply, basically. This is a slightly lighter story, and it made me chuckle. Basically, everything has changed since lockdown. But also, and everyone working from home, and your employers basically being in your home space in your life the whole time. But really, since the advent of WhatsApp and TikTok and other platforms, the old rules no longer apply, and no one knows what they're doing, really. Is it okay to follow your superior or a junior member of staff on WhatsApp? What about emojis? Is it okay to post a picture of yourself in a bikini if your work colleagues are going to see that? What about pictures of your children? It's an absolute minefield. And the thing is, there are so many people who are different ages in the workplace. You've got older people who tend to be the bosses, the superiors. They have no clue about the new rules. They're seen as very kind of off with social media use. Is it, more seriously, is it harassment if you like a picture of a junior member of staff in her bikini on the beach? Is it sort of odd if you post a picture of yourself lying drunk at the weekend?
Too many questions. I tell you what, just mute them. Mute everyone.
Around in this minefield.
Thank you so much. It's been lovely to have both of you, Mariana Hotta and Emma Wolf. Thank you very much indeed to both of you for your time.